Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review The Flash. And this is from director Andy Muschietti, and we see Ezra Miller as they come back into the role of Barry Allen, The Flash, after Justice League, and go off on Barry's own adventure through the multiverse as he tries to save the life of his mother and tried to get his father out of prison. And this, pleasantly surprisingly, was a very personal story for Barry Allen. One of my biggest concerns was this was just not really going to feel like a Flash movie, but I do feel like the whole entire crux of this film is his personal journey and living with the loss and getting to the point where he can live with it and understand it and see how it has shaped him as a human being. And I really like Barry here. Ezra Miller does a fantastic job of being charismatic and playing two different Barrys, two very different, distinct Barrys as well. And they're able to bring a lot of humor and awkwardness and like weird, quirky cool to these two different Barrys. And I do feel like this film is trying to tackle a lot, with a lot of characters. Some of those characters feel pretty wasted, like Iris, Kiersey Clemens just feels kind of there, and just felt tacked on to the story. You have Michael Shannon coming back as Zod, completely wasted, and a phoned-in performance where Michael Shannon really doesn't get to do anything. And I really like Sasha Cale as Supergirl, but she's barely in it, and they don't give her a whole lot to do. She does bring a lot of ferocity to her performance, and that's really cool, but that's about it. And how this narrative plays out, unfortunately, makes like half the film feel completely pointless. And you're just like, so we went through all of that to get here, and it kind of lost me. But what didn't lose me was how this film really comes back to being about Barry and the consequences of his own actions. And I appreciated that about this film and how it felt so personal. There's really good humor here, some of the best in a DC movie. There's some weird scenes, like there's supposed to be this big sequence at the beginning of the film that's really supposed to like highlight Barry's skills, and it does, but it's so outlandish and ridiculous, and also this film makes Barry so overpowered that you're kind of like, why does he need anybody else? And it kind of makes you question, like, why is Barry doing all the cleanup work for the Justice League when he can do all of these things a lot better than almost all the Justice League members? And there's plenty of cameos. There's some crazy cameos in this film that I'm leaving at that. But if you're a DC fan, I think you're going to love what you get out of this movie as like those little cherries on top of the experience. The pacing is great. It goes. The relationship that Barry has with his father, Ron Livingston, who does a real fine job, and specifically Maribel Verdú, who plays Nora Allen, Barry's mother. I love her. She's so great in this, and their dynamic really brings the emotion here, and that emotion elevates some of the messier elements. But it's interesting what they wind up doing with some of the like DCEU versions of these characters, and Ben Affleck has his moments. But it is Michael Keaton who steals this show, for better or for worse, because this isn't a Batman movie, it's a Flash movie. But Michael Keaton just felt like he effortlessly slid back into playing Bruce Wayne and Batman. And it was absolutely fantastic, getting like the musical notes and to like the Tim Burton score from Danny Elfman. And Barry Wallfish overall does a fine job with this score. I do find most of the special effects really well done. There are some moments where it's really obvious green screen, and they're probably hiding the fact that some of these actors were not in the same place. I do feel like and a lot of that really shows in the climactic battle, this bland desert battle that doesn't have a whole lot of personality to it. But overall, I think this is an exciting and thrilling and funny and emotional ride that might have its flaws, but I really enjoyed this film. And everything out in the world about Ezra Miller and their insanity and the crazy things that they were doing, at this point, it seems like they're getting off scot-free and will probably, if this does well, get a sequel. I have to say, this Barry Allen's great, and Miller does a great job with this character. They're not a great person, but there's some actors out there that aren't, and they keep getting work, and it looks like this is going to be one of those situations. But overall, I would recommend Flash. I think it's a nice way to wrap up this DCEU, the Snyderverse, whatever you want to call it, and open the door for James Gunn to do his thing. But those are my thoughts on The Flash. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.